Hey folks, Dunkelza here with Descendant Studios and working on Descent Underground. I am the community manager here at Descendant. I also do game design and a whole bunch of other things. Everybody wears a lot of hats around here. But today I'm going to mess around with Blueprint. I'm actually going to be copying or trying to port over some blueprint that we developed for the destructible crates that you see in survival, and applying that to a computer center. I'm doing this to try and save some of the other guys some time. I may totally not do it because I am not an engineer, but hopefully I can copy from engineers and have it work out pretty well. So let's see. So we are in the blueprint a for the destructible computer systems that we have that we're going to be putting into the single player, and who knows, they may make it into some of the multiplayer too. But right now they're primarily for the single player. And here I'm just going to check my feed here for a second, so we'll see if I can. Yeah, I seem to be audible to myself, so that's good. Hopefully you guys are having a good time there. And let's see what we can do here. And just so you know, I am actually in the Discord right now, the voice Discord that you see up at the top of the screen. And so if you guys want to join me, you can pop on in here and we can have a little chat. I actually have some music going on right now. You can't hear it because Twitch says we can't broadcast that. So I'm just sending out an announcement and everything here that we're streaming. All right, let's see how it goes. And we are in. All right. So anyway, this is not my specialty, and I'm gonna stress that again. So we have this wonderful model that Fire Dragon's been putting together for us, and you can see these are all essentially placeholder materials. They are things that we are probably going to replace with more detailed materials over time. And we want to actually be able to reuse a lot of these materials because the more textures you have loaded into a game, there's performance costs and stuff to it for graphic rendering and everything. So being able to reuse the same textures on multiple pieces of artwork, especially stationary things like what we call greebles that just go into a map and make it look pretty. It's good to reuse the textures on those whenever you can. But that is really a thing for the artist people to do. What I'm doing is really just bringing the artwork into the game and and making it so that you can see it, hopefully. So what we have here is, initially, this is a container blueprint. So you can see on the left here, there are a number of different pieces inside the scene here. You have a shared route, which is just basically says, okay, this is the pivot point for the whole shebang. And then we have a number of static meshes. So a static mesh is different from a skeletal mesh in that there's no animations or whatever. And so that's kind of an important distinction. These are all things that basically just sit still. Now, you can you can move a static mesh around in a scene, like a lot of the missiles that you see flying through the game are static meshes, but they don't move within the mesh in the same way that, say, an animated figure would move. So anyway, that's a thing to look at. So anywho, welcome to the viewer. We has a viewer. And let's look at this thing. So we have the static mesh. So we have the hub model. This is the basic structure of the computer center. And then we have these different server layers that go in it. And all of these things are also, if you look over here on the right, they're variables. So in theory, if I'm understanding Blueprint right, remember, I am not an engineer, so my understanding of Blueprint is limited. I am mostly copying work that people like Pixley did. You know, we threw a Pixley at things like the crates, and now I am shamelessly plagiarizing his work. But since we work for the same company, it's okay. So we have these different layers of servers that Fire Dragon made for us. And again, these are preliminary textures. And thank you all for the auto hosts. If you guys are watching, a number of channels have auto hosted us. And you guys, I notice, are getting some wacky video stuff here. So I am going to change this to a display capture. There you go. That should be a little bit easier to follow. There we go. I just have to remember not to put any prawn up there in this window. Not that I have any. But again, I'm going to call your attention to this voice chat up at the top that I mentioned, Discord. Hold on one second here, guys. Alrighty, sorry about that. And so we're back. Hopefully you guys can see this now a little bit better. When you are doing like application streaming with Unreal, sometimes those little pop-ups, the little tool tips and stuff will actually take over the screen for streaming. So I apologize for that. All right, so this is our blueprint, and for those, in case you missed it, these are individual components of the scene, and that Fire Dragon made for us. And these are all placeholder materials. So over time, we're going to go and put reusable materials, because we want to be able to use, like, let's say this railing, this yellow here. We may want to be able to use that on some other railings or other things in the game, and using one material for it makes the game perform better. And then there's this thing that's very important. This is a 10-meter cube. You can see this little bit pokes out, but that's okay. We have some other greebles in the game that you can fly through that don't actually have collision. But this defines the outer boundary. So everything that's inside here, we're not really worried about its collision. If you fly into this, it's going to hit as a box. If you shoot at it, it's going to hit at the box. So anyway, the big thing about this is we want to have you be able to shoot it and it blow up. That's the important thing. And then we also would like it to be able to drop power-ups on occasion. That's another thing that's very important here. So this whole blowing up thing, these pieces, a key difference between the crate blueprint that I was talking about and the thing where we're talking about the computer, we don't want the computer to go away. So when you blow up a crate, it breaks up into little pieces and it's gone. It disappears. we actually want to keep this basic structure intact. So Fire Dragon is working on a version of this that's sort of like, twisted, melted, blackened metal, but it'll still have the same basic shape. It'll still be essentially the same structure. And so we want to be able to swap these in and out. So the idea here, at least my thinking, is that we have an alive and a dead model. So each of these, so here's the hub model variable. And what we're going to do is set it to the value for hub model alive, and we'll have one for dead as well. And these are for sound effects and for visual effects. So this will be a particle, like an explosion or smoke or whatever. So I don't know if we'll get too far in this today, but I just felt like since I was in between a couple of other tasks, do this for a little bit and see if we get anywhere with it. So you can see there's a number of different things in Blueprint, these event graphs. And so a lot of these you can see has to do with destructible mesh, which is not what we really want to do. But we got some damage here and everything. And we're going to see if we can kind of figure out some of this stuff. Spawn bonuses, I don't know about that stuff. So, all right. Apply radius damage. Now that's a difficult thing. Let's go back to our doohickey here. So hub model, so actually collision box. Notice that there's all these events, right? So, clicking and blah, blah, blah. But we want we're going to want to do kind of a hit thing with it. And so notice it's on component hit collision box, right? And so we click on here, and we're just going to drag from here. And let's look for damage. Oh, that's not good. There's only one thing in there, so let's see. Like I said, I'm not an engineer. I'm just poking around in here. And let's see. Aha. Oh no, let's see. Collisions. All right. See, that's a interface. So we're not really looking for, I don't know, maybe that is what we're looking for. I'm just, like I said, figuring this stuff out. Pixley is the master engineer. I'm just trying to figure out how to copy his stuff. So looking over here at the crate, one of the things that I'm looking for is, like, what is its, so this is the crates. If you guys haven't seen these in survival, you shoot them, they take a certain amount of damage, they break apart, and then they're done. And so he does not use the on component hit. That may be because this is a destructible mesh, so there's a different kind of a system for that. Event break effects. Yeah, see, this has to do with the thing. So here you can see there's different numbers and stuff assigned to it because it's a child process of a mining block. So this may not be the best basis for us to work off of. Delete that. And let's get doors. Yep. That is definitely not what we're looking for. See, it gives you all sorts of context-sensitive stuff. Don't. Oh, wait. Here we go. Let's see. So I actually can delete this. There we go. Event any damage. And damage is float, which is a floating point number. It's a type of variable. Yeah, I suppose we need a hit points variable, don't we? And that is not a static mesh. That is actually, I suppose it should be a float. And how many hit points should this thing take? Obviously, this will be changed over time, but let's see how we should do. 50? What do you think? I mean, this thing's going to be easy to hit. It's a couple of concussion missiles, like a fusion, maybe 100. We need 100 as a default. This is, and all right, so we got that in there. Event only fires on the server. Kind of important. So now I'm gonna get hit points, and we're gonna subtract float minus float. And so now what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to check and see if the hit points reaches 0 or less. So let's see. There's got to be some sort of a math thing in here. Like I said, I'm not an engineer. I'm just a designy community person. So let's see how this goes. I'm going to compare. Okay. All right. We're making progress, I think. This is the nice thing about Blueprint. In a lot of shout out to Epic for this is I'm not an engineer, but a lot of this stuff, if you kind of think through it in your head, you can kind of do some of the basic stuff. This is not the level of stuff Pixely does. Pixely does way, 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 way more complicated stuff than this. So if it's greater than 0, we don't care. But if it's less than or equal to 0, then we are going to want to trigger some stuff to happen. So what do we need to have happen? We need it to swap models, right? And we need it to spit out a power-up, right? So let's see. Let's compile that for now, just because. And let's see. So we've compared the float. If it's less than or equal to 0, we want something to happen. So what do we want to have happen? We want the hub model to change. Now we don't have an alive or a dead one yet, but I actually kind of need, let's see. All right. So we actually now, so this is, so I believe, or maybe it's on event begin play instead of construction script. We'll see. So now we need a hub model alive get. So you see we've got the variable here, hub model alive, whatever the value of that is will be what we set this model to. Okay, we're actually going to copy this and we're going to do server 1. We have to wire these execution points in. I didn't know that when I first started messing around with this stuff, and it didn't work. Don't know why. And so server 1 alive. We're just going to go along and do these. And the reason that I'm setting these as variables, just so you guys know, if I was making one of these things and was never going to reuse it, at least is my thought process anyway, I would not set these as variables. I would just set a value directly. So if you guys notice, so I break this link, I can just set the value. But because I want to make child blueprints of this, because I want to, once I get this working, I want to be able to use it for multiple different things. This lets me set those as variables so each child could have them differently. If I'm understanding Blueprint correctly, because like I said, I'm not an engineer, I'm going to keep saying that. Just checking on some messages, see if I got anything important in there, but no, it seemed to be good, so I am back here. By the way, like I said, if you are watching this, I am in the Descendant Studios public Discord right now. There's a link to it at the top of the screen, and you can come join me, come talk, ask me questions or whatever. And let's just keep duplicating. Hopefully I'm doing this right. Ha ha ha. Drag that in. That's the target. Sort of 3 alive is the value we want. And one more of these. Server 4. And the reason for that, oops, I flipped over to the viewport by accident, is we are setting the value of these meshes to whatever the contents of the variable, the appropriate alive variable is. So then, if we look at this here, so we have a hit points variable, which right now we have set to 100. And if it takes damage, doesn't matter what type, we just care about the damage value. And we're comparing that with 0. So if the thing sort of subtracting damage from hit points, if the result is less than or equal or less than 0, we're going to want to trigger some stuff happening. So one of the things that we are going to want to do is play sound at location. And we're going to want that location to be shared root, if I understand correctly. Nope, that's not right. What do we want? Shared root. Oh, we need its world coordinates. Is it world location? Get world location, right? Get world location. All right. So get rid of this. And collision box, if you recall, is this big outside cube around the whole thing. So we're going to return that value of its location. And we are going to, where is destruction sound effect, which we haven't decided what that sound effect is yet, but that's okay. Now we also need to spawn a particle. And we're going to spawn that at the same location. And that is going to be the destruction VFX that we talked about. Ah! No, I don't want to change the type. And so that when we choose what explosion we want to use, that will blow up. And let's see. I know I'm boring. Sorry, guys. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I'm trying not to shout into my headphones here. Yeah, we're going to auto-destroy it. Yeah, it's checked. All right. Now, what's the next thing we need to do? We need to set, what is this thing called? Set static mesh. Set static mesh for hub model. to hub model dead. So we get the value of that variable. Now, like I said, we don't have the dead models yet, so we're not going to see this working just yet. But the idea is that when the hit points hit 0 or below, we will, oh, you know what I need to do? On here, silly me, I need to add a node here for set hit points. I think I'm doing that right. I could be wrong, but we'll see. I am not an engineer. I'm not an engineer. I'm just playing around with Blueprint and taking you guys along for the ride. Okay, so now we're going to set static mesh again. We're going to duplicate that because we need to change server model 1 to server 1 dead. And we're just going to repeat that. Yeah. All the way down. And just in case you guys missed it, I am on the Discord here at the top. So if you want to come talk to me, let's try to keep it a sort of family show. And duplicate this again. Server 3 dead. Now what I'm going to do probably to test this is change the models to something completely different. Just so that it's obvious, because like I said, we don't have the dead model just yet. But we'll see. All right. Let's see. Power up. Yeah, I'm gonna have to. It'll take me some time to figure out the power up spawning, so that we're not going to deal with that one today. Let's compile this. All right, let's go back here. Let's look at these dead models, and we're going to try changing them to something completely different. There we go. Totally different model. And these are actually set to none. But when they are alive, we need them set to this. So we need to go ahead and make sure that the alive servers are set to these server pieces. Compile that, we'll save it. And let's add this thing into the scene. Give it a location of 0 minus 5,000 and 0. So let's see where we're at. No, I've lost it. There it is. Okay. This scene is a very basic scene. Let's make this, change this from a point light. Let's delete the point light, and we're just going to add a skylight. And all right. Nope, I don't know skylights that well, so we're just gonna, let's put in a directional instead. Kaji's the lighting master. So we got one, and we're gonna add another one. Okay, why are you not? There we go. And we're gonna turn it other direction, give it a, and there we go. So I've just got some basic lighting in this scene. And don't even want to save it. We are going to preview. And that's okay, because I'm not dealing with those things. All right. And it's got some kind of a blueprint compiler, but I don't know what. All right. Maybe I should have used a scene with a reference frame. You know what? Let's do that. Let's make a new level instead of, there we go. Don't save that, because I really don't want it. All right, we're just going to add this down here on the world. Wow, that's huge. Okay. Boop, 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 boop. And let's play it. All right, where did I spawn? Okay. Oh, spawned at origin. Silly Keith. All right, bad dunk, no biscuit. All right, let's try it this time. Might help if I do that, maybe. All right. Well, clearly I got something funny going on. It is starting, but I'm not controlling, so we will have to maybe have to try experimenting with this later. All right, yeah, from that I should be able to see it. I don't want to save this. This is just a test. Yeah, I got something wacky going on. All right. Well, that I guess will be it for tonight, guys. But anyway, that was just me fooling around in the editor, playing around with some basic blueprints and stuff. And hope you have a good night. See you underground.